I'll go right ahead. So welcome to a weekly rewards workgroup sync for November 24th. We have quite a stacked agenda today, so we'll dive right into the status updates and try to keep them quite short and sweet, and then we do the discussions afterwards. I collected a few items below for the discussion items, and you can see that there's quite a few. So let's keep the status update to just what you did the last few days, what you're planning in the days ahead, and if there's like any obvious blockers. So I'll pass it to Lily.
Yeah, I finished the manifesto. I was putting into the Notion, but wait. Do you think it's better if I share the Google Doc, or I just finished making it nice on Notion?
What's the end destination for it? It's just that it should be publicly available somewhere. The other manifestos are sorry.
Well, let me share here. I put in this doc to make it easier to put in the forum after, but then I'm also putting here in the Notion. It just looks very just need to make it nice now. But yeah, so we talked last week about how this is already a working group, so it just needed to formalize a little bit. So here is our weekly meetings and Discord chat and all of this. So for who doesn't know, we do these manifestos to keep track of all of the working groups and to make it available on Gitbook and on the website. So when people join, they know that there is this stream of work happening and they can jump in. And then in the mission, just that the intention of this working group is to design, implement, maintain, and continuously improve the TEC reward system. So there are a few streams of work, and one of them is the development of the dashboard. And the dashboard will host quantifiers, randomly pair them with praise sets. The quantifications will be performed there, and quantified sets will be analyzed after every quantification period, and then just a little bit of what is this new reward system? That it's basically praise plus source cred. And then here I linked the forum post that Mitch worked on with all the step-by-step of what we're doing and the rules of praise and quantification. And to keep all of this running, we need a technical team that is working on the development of the dashboard, of an identity solution, and the development of the analysis, and then the reward board, which will be responsible for this following points that we have discussed many times already. So I'll keep this. And how will the TEC benefit from this working group? So a comprehensive reward system provides insights on the values being produced in the community. The information is essential for the maintenance of the long-term mission of the TEC, the alignment with its members, and economic sustainability. And we are a pro-social community, so it's fundamental that contributors feel rewarded and have their needs being met. And it's also a core part of token engineering, and the experiments from this process are relevant for the field and discipline, since it's our mission to advance it. And then success, that the dashboard works as expected, that we have engaged quantifiers, that source cred and praise integrate well, analysis are automated, the community feels fairly rewarded, metrics for analysis provide good feedback about the ecosystem health. The reward board is active and attentive to what needs improvement. Quantifications and distributions happen at a regular pace. And the failure, maybe I wasn't so creative here. We definitely have more things that can go wrong. But the system is gamed, quantifiers don't show up, the TEC refuses to send funds. to the rewards proposals. If anyone has more ideas, I'll put this link in the chat. Feel free to add up. And then the milestone we already have in this blog post. The deadlines for the dashboard is paired with the Commons upgrade. The rewards, the first quantification will happen before Christmas, and most of the rewards board work is continuous, so there's no deadline. Our working style is that members take responsibility for different issues, and they are available on GitHub as part of the sprint planning process. Pace of work is like weekly. Yeah, this shouldn't be here. And then the members, we already had a list that we did the other day with the responsibilities each person is taking.
Nice. One thing, I would propose that we do a round of for the coming week, allow for the other work group members to comment on this before we make a forum post or sort of make it official. And one thing we clearly need to define is how do the reward board relate to the working group? Is the rewards board a sub part of the working group, or is it like separate somehow? But that we can maybe take that up for discussion in the end, so that it's clearly defined. Do you have anything else for this startup? Cool.
No.
Then the next work stream, the first quant preparations. I don't know. I don't think that anyone has sort of assumed more responsibility over that one. So I don't have any status update to give about the first quant preparations, and I'm just saying that is a work stream that is open for adoption if someone wants to take the lead on preparing for the first quant and doing the first quant, being a little bit more responsible for that with the interactions with quantifiers, etc.
Can you specify the requirements a bit more, Christopher? Like, what do you mean?
I mean, so for first quant, we need to finalize source cred parameters. We need to set up all the systems so that there we can perform the first quant. We need to recruit quantifiers, and we need to describe the quantifier role, and we need to do the quantification. That means, saying on this and this day we start, and it should be finished by this day, reminding the quantifiers now it's time to log into the dashboard to do your quantifications and sort of facilitate the process.
We don't need the source cred. We don't need the source cred parameters for the first quant, right?
The quantifiers are going to be using the praise data, right? Because they're going to be using the subjective data stream, whereas source cred is going to be the objective data stream.
Yeah. But source cred needs to be set up for the first
for the
quant,
praise
for
the whole reward system. Yes, you're right.
Yeah.
Sorry. So then basically just organizing the first quant within the reward system that's already been developed and set up. Well, theoretically.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, I feel pretty good about leading that, and then probably there's going to be a lot of people that are going to help me.
Yes, I'm sure about that. I'd love to hear that. Cool. We can discuss that some more if we have time further below during the discussions, or we'll do a separate session on just that. I think we need to do that as well. So let's move on to source cred meeting tracker bot. YYV, are you here? I think I saw you.
Yeah, I'm here.
Cool.
So the update is like we previously wanted to change the implementation to work with a calendar, but then Discord events have been rolling around, and I think there's significant amount of interest in maintaining them weekly. So we're probably going to be tracking these. And I think I'm hopeful that we have something this week that's actionable. We also did a test of the meeting tracker bot, in the last Graviton training session. So it tracked all the members of the meeting. So that went well. We just need to link it with the Discord events, and then we need to link it with source grid, which is something that I did not look into. And there's some questions regarding the how we weigh things in source grid for specifically for call data. Do we weigh them based on how much time you spend in meetings or how many meetings you attend? So that's a discussion where we can bring up today.
Yeah. Well, let's take that later. I noted that. And for the thank you for that. For the source cred pollen bot, maybe you would like to say something about the source cred, the pollen bot, or I can say something, or we can say something. Would you like to go?
I could say something.
Nice.
There's something being that it is. I think I have customized it, but not in a modular way for a balancer. That means that we can also, fuck with it so that it can be suitable for you guys' needs. And from that, I think we could just divert some resources into just making it something that is usable by everybody. But an overview, it links Discord, ETH address, discourse, and GitHub account to a single source cred identity. By identity, I mean the thing that mints or that gets cred and grain, instead of just having some everything thrown around. I think he also mentioned the idea of the ETH address being the sort of like a foreign key between the source cred and the praise database or something.
Yeah. We need to link those two data streams, and that is all we have just now. The dream would be to have an external identity management system where we could have some sort of decentralized identifier that is not an Ethereum address, but for now we'll use an Ethereum address because that's the best we have. So thanks for that, and I'm super happy that you are contributing to this and helping us to move this forward, because that has been a headache, or something that we have been having a headache about. How will we sort of administer the source cred instance with all the user information? So thank you for that.
My pleasure.
I can say something about the Praise backend, and that is things have been moving a little bit slower than usual with the Praise development backend. Rudolf has been moving apartments, etc. But now he's back up to speed again, as far as I know. So we will see more developments there soon. I think we will be able to show something soon. Demo something, and I'll move over to the Praise frontend, and I would like to introduce you to Nebs, who has recently joined the team to help us out with the frontend development. Welcome, Nebs.
Thank you.
Would you like to say a few words about the frontend status?
Yes. So I started maybe 2 days ago. So Christopher introduced me to the project, and I started with Quantified pool, removal of users, and that was finished today with mock-up data, because we don't have backend for that. And after that, I will start with screen with where you can see praises for that one. So maybe we have a small blocker with backend, but I can work on the UI until backend is ready. So it will be fine.
Yeah, hopefully we will get into a better flow now when with the backend and frontend can co-develop sort of hand in hand, and then we'll be finished quite soon because it's not much left actually for with the praise system. Yeah, and then we have the final work stream, which is allocation, distribution, and analysis, and I'll hand over to MS.
Thanks, Christopher, and happy Wednesday, everybody. So on the update side, we have a Jupyter notebook that's been spun up. Nuggin's really put a lot of work into getting a couple pieces of that together. It's been really, really awesome. So alongside of the Jupyter notebook being spun up, they had actually created a generator as well to mimic large data sets that we would see in the Jupyter notebook. So it's given us a way to have some variability and some analysis that can be conducted. We're currently just exploring a little bit more of the design aspects of the Jupyter notebook and getting those pieces in place. And then just to be mindful of time, because I know we have quite a few updates today, we have 3 questions that I can bring to the channel, Christopher, if that makes sense. And then I can work async from here, around those pieces.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, I think that's everything.
Yeah, that concludes the status updates, and just let's dive into the discussions. I thought it would be wise to discuss the roadmap because Christmas is moving ever closer, and we have an idea about doing the first quant before Christmas, and then we need to make a trial run and have time to do that before Christmas. So my proposals are that we use these, not necessarily these times, but Wednesday seems like a good day to do the trial runs and the quants. Most of the quant will be done asynchronously, but we'll need to discuss it and gather up people and introduce them and whatever. So let's set 2 dates basically. And I propose that we set the dates of December 8th and for the trial run, and December 22nd for the first quant. And that means that if we miss the December 8th date, we have another week to fail and get back on track before December 22nd, basically. How does that sound? I have had.
You mean they couldn't?
Sorry.
You're just saying they couldn't be right after each other because we should have a week for like fixing things if we need.
Yeah, I have a hunch that when we do the trial run, it would be wise to have some time between the trial run and the real run. I hope that we will be done with the praise system by then. Rulov says it should be possible. Nebs looks confident, I think. So we'll see. We'll aim for that at least. And what the trial run, what that entails, we'll have to discuss more in detail, and the preparations up to that. Yeah, and then there was issues for the rewards workgroup startup. I didn't know, Livid, that you had finished the manifesto and also writing the roadmap. So I think we can basically remove this section unless you have anything else you would like to bring up for the reward workgroup startup. There are other issues that needs to be taken care of. That's part of the startup. That was the manifesto, sorry.
Yeah, I just wanted to tell Nebs and Has, and also MS, I think you're not in that list, that you joined after we did that first roll the distribution. So if you could add your names there, that would be great. Your names and what you're working with.
Okay.
Okay, now I see. You added this, or maybe I did that. So what other issues are there for the rewards, the workgroup startup?
Quickly though, Haas isn't here anymore. Just wanted you to know he didn't hear that. But I work with him and I feel like you can just put him on with whatever I'm doing. and then he can change it later or ask me to change it later. That's all.
Cool. For the rewards, the workgroup startup, some other stuff needs to be done. We need to add workgroup information to Gitbook once the roadmap is and the manifesto is set. Post to the forum, and there's some Discord administration that maybe someone could take on, setting up a voice channel for this, so we don't use the community hall always. And we also need to create a logo and add it to the homepage. Do we have any takers for these smaller issues?
I don't have permissions to do that, but I do want to say, and I'm not going to make a logo, but I do want to say that I posted the logo, a logo for the pollen bot potentially that we could use in rewards, I think last week or the week before. So I just say, you can browse that if you like.
Yeah. I think the logo will be made by Marco, if I'm not mistaken. Or
yeah, there's probably some people in General Magic like Mosaidi or Marco or Rodri that would be happy to take on this stuff.
Hold on. What is General Magic? I need to know what that is.
Great question.
Great question.
General Magic is like a group of developers, designers, and writers that just kind of like do projects within the blockchain for good space. So
I want in.
Yeah. Yeah, sure.
No rush, but that's a very good name. It's very intriguing.
It's a great name. Thank you. I didn't do it though.
That's okay.
It's all Griff, I swear.
Oh no, don't say that. Decentralized Griff.
I could take in coordinating the logo part. I've been in touch with Rodri and Marco a lot for contributions that Rodri has been doing to the TEC. So, we already have that communication channel, so I might as well bring it up and follow up on that.
Yeah. So maybe that's it, and because the Gitbook stuff has to wait, and the forum post has to wait before we nail down the final version of the manifesto, and the multi-sig needs to be taken care of. That is part of the reward board startup, sort of. And I don't know how we move forward with that. Maybe we should take that discussion now. What is the reward board? Is there a reward board, or is the working group the reward board? I open the floor to opinions.
I kind of had a really solid idea of what I thought it was, and I tried to explain it best in that forum post that I wrote. And really what the reward board should be doing is like checking the quants before they go out, right? That last line of Libby's she's got to know right away.
No, I mean that's just one of the things, but there is a list of responsibilities.
Yeah, there is I thought it was pretty clear in the list, but maybe not. But like really what we should be doing is thinking about like who's going to look at these things before they go out. So you have the objective streams and the subjective streams, and they come together at the end, and you've got the work of the quantifiers and the work of source cred, and people in there who are going to be stamping the distributions before they go out, and then also like doing the analysis and hopefully like tweaking parameters over time.
Yeah. I think the responsibilities are quite clear, but the question being, while you were on vacation, we had the discussion that how and where would we place the reward board in the TEC organization, and the organizational unit that we have, that everyone is everyone knows about, is the working group. So that is by making the board into a working group that makes it part of the structure we already have. It would place the requirements for transparency and reporting, etc., etc., etc. That all the stuff that we are used to. That was the discussion we had. And then I've noticed. So my initial belief was that we decided that let's make the reward board into a working group. Basically, and then I started noticing that we still refer to the working group and the board as two separate things. And if they are, I would like to know what are the benefits of that, and how is the board being placed in the whole overall TEC structure? Is it a sub thing to the working group, or is it a completely separate bubble on the organizational chart that doesn't exist?
Yeah, like I don't think everybody that's working on the reward system is going to be on the reward board, because of, first of all, you have to be interested in doing that stuff, like the analytics, the tweaking, like kind of the more just like slow processing of information. And like the people who are doing all the back end and the front end and the system design, like those developer resources like might move on to something else once we built the system. But then the people who remain behind that want to do this long-term work, that would become the reward board.
Yeah, I agree. I think there's a benefit of having it separate, especially because of permissions, because the reward board will have voting power in the reward DAO. So it will be people that have the ability to distribute rewards. And it's quite like, it will be quite a large amount of funds every once in a while, that it's important, I think, to have that like very closed. And there will also be the multi-sig for making the proposal to the TEC, and then transferring the RepTex DAI to TEC tokens. And that also like having that same people that it's in one DAO and in the multi-sig is a good thing. And just to clarify, the tweaking, like that would be the quantifiers that would do, and not the reward board people. But there is
tweaking source Cred parameters.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
And we also have said in the reward system process post, we have said that the reward board actually has the responsibility to tweak the actual distribution as a final thing. So we are planning for that in the Jupyter notebook to give them that that power.
What about
really? That wasn't sorry. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, like, what about keeping it DAOI like we were doing at the first time? Like Mateo was creating those teardrops, and then instead of having a multisig, you have a DAO where you need a certain amount of people to vote, and you don't need everyone to vote, but like if there's enough yes, then it passes. Then if there is not enough yes, and everyone have just one token.
Yeah, we'll have both things. The DAO will always distribute the rewards, and then the multi-sig will only be used to make proposals to the commons. So whenever the reward system runs out of funds, a proposal is made to the TEC to get funds for, I don't know, maybe 3 months of rewards or something. But because we want to distribute these funds in TEC tokens and not in RepTex DAI, and what we receive from the DAO is going to be RepTex DAI, then we couldn't have like the DAO going to the bonding curve and getting the TC, and so that's why we're using a multi-sig.
I must say I'm not I'm a little unsure. What is the need for having the rewards working group if there's also the separate reward board? Because the project of building, the project of upgrading the reward system, that is a time-limited project that ends soon, hopefully. And what is left when like you described, when maybe me or maybe all the developers have left and we are left with a functioning reward system. Isn't that what we are left with is only the responsibilities of the reward board?
Well, we'll have the quantifiers also that are not on the board, and they need to be I don't know. There's that cultural call that we thought of having, and that is something that happens mostly with the quantifiers, with the involvement of people from the board.
Yeah. So my initial idea was that to make it simple, call it the reward board, but call it I think that Ryder's suggestion was really great, calling it the reward board working group. Like it is a working group, but it has special permissions. So for instance, how you become a member and how you the onboarding and offboarding is special. It has access to the multi-sig, etc. But it still is also packaged as a working group for it to fit into the structure of the rest of this everything. It looks like Mitch is thinking something.
I turned on my camera just so you could have you can see my audible groan. I'm like, ah. Yeah, sure.
My only interest is that that the whatever structure we set up is sort of clear and makes sense. If we create a working group that in the end won't have anything to do, because there's also a separate entity called the reward board that does the actual work, then it seems like we should just let go of the idea of creating the work group.
Well, it should be a working group, right? Because it's going to be a long-term thing. Whatever you want to call it. You want to call it reward board, working group. I think it's just like semantics.
Yeah. No, that's what I mean. Let's treat it as the reward board we have always talked about, but
you put
make
working
it part
group in
of
parenthesis, like subscript underneath.
No, let's treat it like a work group in all other aspects, so that it has a manifesto, etc., etc.
Yeah, that's cool. But it'll change over time, right? Because active development and then like MVP.
Yeah, and I think the active development, the stuff we are doing now, so the upgrade project, it doesn't need to be described in the manifesto. That is because it's we are hopefully at the end of that project. And then when there's time to do new development, that is a new situation.
All right.
I think it's very simple that we have the streams that are creating the product and then making it function, and then after just maintaining the process. So the development now of the product is part of the working group, but is a task that will end, just like all the working groups have like streams of work that end are completed, and then there are other things that are coming.
Yeah. Let's move on. If we have some sort of general consensus on this, sort of vaguely at least. someone still has to take on the task of figuring out if we are going to set up a multi-sig, a DAO, what needs to be done there. I don't have any insight in how that works, actually.
Yeah, I mean, I can do that. It sounds like it's just going to be like a Gnosis safe.
Why don't we use the same Aragon DAO to save the funds? I think that's the safest option and easier instead of Gnosis.
Yeah, I agree.
What do you say?
Can we use that for transferring tokens too?
Yeah, of course.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, so we can do everything with the DAO. We don't need the multi-sig.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Ah, okay. Sorry, Zach. I gave you
and
the
that is
wrong.
an Aragon DAO, or what?
Yes, the Aragon one. We would use Aragon. I forgot the name, but the agent. Sorry, the Aragon agent.
Yeah.
And with the agent, we could sign any other contract or whatever other application.
I wonder if the agent would be able to swap tokens on the bonding curve.
Yeah, so far, yeah, because essentially the agent is like a multisig that can interact with any smart contract, but requires.
But will the price slippage cause it to fail?
Sorry, what?
The price slippage. Like, because when the vote is created, and then if it gets outside of the price slippage between when the vote is created and when it's executed, that's the problem with the multi-sig as well. Is like, if the price slippage moves out of bounds when it actually wants to execute, then the transaction fails.
Okay. Yeah.
I would like to name this a new work stream, setting up the DAO, and let's do a separate small short sync session on just this topic. Me, Mitch, and Matteo, or anyone else who would like to join that discussion.
Yeah, I mean, I've been doing a lot of this stuff with Aragon DAOs and EVM CRISPR and stuff, so it's cool.
Yeah, I want to help in that, Mitch. That sounds exciting.
Cool. Yeah, and for the first quant, now the first quant preparations and execution, we touched on it a little bit before. I think I made a few issues about that. Here, let's see. What needs to be done? Configure source cred before first quant. Setting parameters. We have said, I think, that we would like to inform the community about the final parameters for both praise and source cred. Am I right? Is that a good idea?
Yep.
Take silence as a yes. Or yes, thanks. And then we're going to perform the quantification trial run, where we use the past month worth of data for both source cred and praise, and evaluate that trial run and adjust the parameters after that. So maybe the forum post will happen after the trial run, because then we can tweak the parameters and see what worked and didn't work. But we also need to recruit quantifiers for the first quant, and we are planning not to make the first quant not so big. And Mitch, you haven't heard that since you were gone last week, that we discussed that there's like 6,000 praise currently unquantified, and if all praise are going to be quantified by 3 people, that's a lot of quantifications to be done. So we decided, let's split it up and make the first quant quite a small one, and then we'll see it as a backlog, and we try to work our way through the backlog piece by piece until we come to present time, and then we start the bi-weekly schedule.
And you're starting from the oldest data?
Yes.
Okay.
So we'll start with just like 2 weeks or 1 month worth of data for the first quant, which means that we don't have to recruit as many quantifiers as well. So I think we can more like handpick those quantifiers for the first quant. to make sure that it's people that have opinions about how and why we're quantifying, and can help us to tweak the parameters if needed. And we also discussed last week that we need a forum post describing the quantifier role in a little bit more detail. And it's not about the rules for quantification. It's like Livia, you said, it's that there are clues to what this forum post should include in both the reward system process post and the rules for quantification post, and then adding some more information. About, I guess, the quantification process could be a good thing. Like, this is how it works. You will have 3 days to perform the quantification, and then we will do a group session where we do analysis and have a discussion about the results, etc.
Okay. So then, yeah, we don't want to open up the floodgates for quantifiers. That's what I hear. I think reasonably a lot of people are going to be interested in being a quantifier.
Yeah. So I don't have a strong opinion there. Just know that the first quant will be quite small, and we will need to do an evaluation afterwards. Yeah.
Okay.
Maybe this wasn't as much a discussion point, but more like going through what are the things that we need to do before the first quant. So if I have missed something, please just.
Well, I mean, we'll have to. I think there's going to be a lot of training involved in like how to use the application, I think.
Yeah. That is probably like a separate session. Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that is in there too, as a responsibility to have an onboarding process, and maybe that's something recurring that we can have every time, like maybe a few quantifiers are onboarded or before every quant.
Yeah, let's make that into a separate issue. That's a super good input and super important thing to do. Yeah, maybe we can leave the first quant preparations there if we don't have to bring up anything else. Because we still have 10 minutes and 2 areas to cover. So let's move on to the SourceCred meeting tracker bot, YYV and me. We discussed this today. How do we reward meeting attendance? Currently, when we are praising, you get a set amount for attending a meeting, no matter what. And the question here was like, is that the way we would like to continue doing it, or would we, do we reward total amount of time spent in meetings or number of meetings attended? Vaivavi, did I get this right, or is there? You also mentioned something about like average time spent in meetings and stuff like that.
Yeah, we could also do things like that if we are interested in doing it. But yeah, I think the initial distribution is like either it's hours spent in meeting, or is it just the act of attending a meeting?
Yeah, Ryder, please go ahead.
We might not have hi everyone. We might not have the technology for this at this time, but it's a personal peeve of mine to reward people for their activity or quantity of time in a meeting, because I don't think that that's representative of their contribution. And I also see it being, I've seen people just like go to lots and lots of meetings to kind of just like rack up cred or tokens, and I don't want to encourage that behavior, and I also don't want to encourage a lot of talking when maybe we don't want the same people talking a lot. I just see there's a lot more nuance to contributions live in a meeting, and I would hate to incentivize that generally across the board. And
I think a really good point. And what the nice thing is that we can choose how much we value meeting attendance, how it is relative to other types of work, right? So if we see that maybe it's getting a bit out of control, how much we're rewarding people for just showing up to meetings, like at least we have the buttons and the levers to make that less valuable so it falls in line with the other types of work.
I think there was a discussion some time ago about incentive, telling the community that we should like praise people for contributions made in a call. And I think that's what it is, like where we give people value for the contributions they make in a call. And source cred, what we're going to use source cred for is basically just a check mark that you attended a call and you like just active in the community. It just, I think that's like just to incentivize people by showing them, yeah, you can come to calls and we just give you very small amount of credit for doing that. But if you contribute to calls, we praise you. So
right. So
maybe
this is right. I just wanted to catch up. And I think I heard this earlier, but it might have escaped me that we are talking about using the source cred meeting bot for this. And so just to clarify, we're talking about having a weight or a parameter that's equal for all parties in the call. Is that what I'm hearing? Okay.
Yeah.
Do we all already know how the bot currently works? Or if not, can I give a small summary?
We are currently modifying the meeting tracker bot to work better
Right,
with.
you guys are already on that. Okay.
Yeah.
I have to, modify. It takes me a while to metabolize that it's going to be different, that I'm used to it. And here I am also working with some of its bugs as we speak. So, okay, thanks. I feel caught up.
Could I jump in and add something here? I think too, we could think about how to filter just meeting attendance. For instance, you could easily build a formula that's something like, it's, 0.1 per meeting attended, but with a total cap of 0.5. So you can't attend 1,000 meetings and game the system. Like it would be really easy to build those functions in since we're automating more of it. And you could filter it that way if that's something the community thought was a good catch. So I just wanted to point that out.
I really, really like that. I don't want that just to sit. I'd love to talk about that again at our next meeting and what that could look like how that translates from the tech side to, because also I've seen people, it also feels kind of, I don't know, culturally or socially regulating. If the incentive for someone going to lots of meetings is just to get cred and that they kind of get permission, that doesn't have to be your only incentive. Maybe you'll search for others. I don't know. It just has implications I really like. Because there's so many time zones and people try to make a lot of meetings sometimes it's maybe not always good. This is a little weird. I feel like I'm controlling other people's behavior, it is a part of it. That is actually what we do with this technology. So that's admitted also, but I don't know. Maybe I'm not being very clear, but I really like that kind of de-incentivization. I wouldn't want it to just be too stringent, I guess, because there is a lot of value in people being synchronous. And it still feels very rare in the general token culture, Web3 culture. So yeah.
I also agree that it's a super interesting proposal or suggestion idea. I have no idea if that is doable from within the source cred. If we could put a cap on something, but let's investigate that further. I think because now we have 5 minutes left, and we need to move on to allocations, distribution analysis. That would like to bring up questions. So if that is okay, we'll stop that conversation for now and come back to it.
I have a quick source cred question. which is, do we have, it was an idea, and I'm just going to throw it out there and see if it fits in what we talked about or not. Having praise giver be the role that receiving cred for meetings is predicated on. That's an idea. There could be a new role created, but often you can regulate if somebody's just in, like if a spammer came in and just started like coming to all the meetings, we never saw their face, they could get lots of cred, but something to verify that they're here. So I feel like praise giver might be a good one, because it's like you're participating and giving people praise that gives you reason to receive cred. So just one idea as to how to.
But I think some of that's going to be mitigated by like the identity stuff that we're trying to figure out. So like registering Discord handles and like all these other things before they can start receiving rewards, right? There's some sort of like human verified process that they're participating.
Cred's still, wait, good point. I have to think about that. Good point.
If we want, we can make the meeting tracker bot just track meeting timings for anyone who just has the praise giver role. So that's something that's doable. But I think we should move along and discuss this asynchronously on in the next call.
Thanks. MS, you have the floor.
Is this in regards to the question, the final question there?
Yeah, I saw you posted 3 questions, or Nugget posted 3 questions in the chat before, and
Okay.
2 of them I seem to be more of a technical nature that we could just clear out without the whole group, and this one was more a discussion topic.
Yep. So specifically around the quantifier. So I'll bring the other 2 questions into the channel. And then for the last one, the question essentially is, do we split the reward equally as a fixed sum, or do we award an amount per praise quantified? So for instance, people who quant members with lots of praise, would they get more?
I'd just like to add to that. Before we discussed that the algorithm within the praise system is to try to assign roughly an equal amount of praise to each quantifier. It won't be possible at all times, but that is the ambition for the formula.
Yeah. So I guess from there, if it is unequally distributed, I think is the question, right? Just in case it doesn't equally distribute out. And I'm just interpreting, I think where Nugget really had the background on this question more than I do, but he wanted me to open it up here.
Yeah, I think like the more, like the more people who's contributing, like the like the quantifiers should, like it the same way it was before. Like at the beginning, if there's only 10 people working on the TC, then of course it's less hours. And like the idea is like, okay, how much work was done this period of time, these 2 weeks or this month, whatever. And then depending on the results you had this month, then you decide a budget for what's been done, and then you distribute. But accordingly to what you achieve, for example, like in Christmas, like maybe there's less people working, then maybe you also assign less price for that period.
Yeah. And here the question also is, if one quantifier quantifies 20% more than another, should that quantifier get more of the quantifier pot of rewards for that work? If one quantifier were to quantify like 10 times more, I think we would say that it's obviously maybe that person should get rewarded more. But I guess the difference hopefully will be like plus minus 10, 20, 30% at tops.
Yeah, I like the idea that everyone gets paid what they've done. Like if they done 100 quant, then they get whatever 100. And if someone did 80, then he gets 80. And I think that's fair.
I think it would be ideal if the system didn't allow such a difference to happen.
But since it's based on one quantifier will always quantify all the praise for one user. If that rule didn't exist, then of course all the quantifiers would be assigned the same amount of praise. But if you imagine a situation where only 2 users have been praised for a period, and one user have received 100 praise and the other user have received 10 praise, then one quantifier would do a lot of work and another quantifier would do less work, since we have that rule that one quantifier quantifies all praise for one praise receiver.
And I think that really hits the crux of the issue, right, Christopher? It's that specific parameter that they're doing the quant on one specific member.
Yeah. But technically, it's not complicated to when we export the information, just to count how many praise each quantifier has quantified and distribute accordingly.
It is a super interesting question too, because when you think about statistically, if the length of things being quantified versus the amount of people that you're quantifying, somebody could be quantifying a lot of people with maybe 1 or 2 praises, for example, in each one, and then one person could be quanting 2 people with like hundreds.
Yeah. And is that a bigger or a smaller work?
The thing, I know we're on the top of the hour, just the thing that makes one praise be harder to quantify is the details that are in there rather than how many praises there is. So sometimes there are praises for like a bunch of, I don't know, little things or one phrase or one, and then it's super quick. So I don't think the metric of like how many people are quantifying is the right one to do. And maybe if we had an app like a slippage limit, like if in between this and this number, it's okay that everyone receives the same.
Yeah. Then I'd propose that we start with a straight distribution, that all the quantifiers get the same amount, and if it turns out that is a bad idea, after a few quantification periods, then of course we can adjust that. Yeah, we are out of time since 2 minutes.